Hey, in this video I'm going to show you how to actually use AI to book 10 plus qualified sales meetings for your B2B business consistently, because most people using AI for outreach are, in my opinion, just doing it wrong, and by the end you will have the exact framework to do it correctly. What we are going to cover is how to reliably find contacts that actually need your offer. Then we are going to cover how to use AI to personalize messages in a way that actually moves the conversation forwards towards a sales call. And then I'm also going to cover how to use AI to create lead magnets, which will just help with getting people interested in the first place. But before we get into it, let me show you a live dashboard from a client I currently work with. As you can see, we managed to hit almost an 11% reply rate across multiple campaigns, which resulted in 72 positive replies and 13 sales meetings. And we managed to do all of that by sending to just 6,000 leads, which is volume that we could realistically send in as little as a week. Okay, now let's get into how to find the right contacts. How most people build their list is they will just use a tool like Apollo, which is essentially just a LinkedIn contact database. And they will use filters like industry, keywords, employee size, or job role to just build a list of leads. And then they will just send to those. The problem with this approach is that filters like industry are self-reported, which means that companies are categorized in the industry that the person who created the account selected. And the problem is that people often rush through the setup and just straight up select the wrong industry. For example, a software as a service company that built a product for real estate categorizes itself as real estate, although they should categorize themselves as being in the software as a service industry. As a result of that, up to 50%, sometimes even more, of your list are going to be companies that just aren't a fit at all. And the reason it matters is because sending to contacts that are a bad fit obviously means fewer book calls and a worse campaign performance overall. But not only that, your email infrastructure will also burn faster, which means your messages will land in spam because the offer is just not relevant to a large share of the people you send to, and they are therefore more likely to mark you as spam. Okay, and here's how we fix it. Now that contact data is also getting cheaper, we can just pull a very broad list of companies that could potentially be a fit, and then we just use AI to filter it down. So basically, you pull a contact list via a tool like Apollo, for example. Then you put them into a spreadsheet or a CSV. You will scrape each company's website, which means you extract the content, and then you run it through an AI prompt. The AI then scores each company from 1 to 10 by ICP fit, based on who they actually are, not what they selected on LinkedIn. And then you simply discard any company that scores below a certain threshold, like 6 out of 10, for example. To implement this, you can build this automation using Clay, for example, which is an enrichment platform. This is probably the most user-friendly option, but it's also the most expensive one. You can build a Python script if you have engineering resources, or you can build a low-code automation using tools like NetN or Zapier. And if you want help with implementing this, or you just want to have my script, you can just hit me up via my email and I will send it to you. The automation will pull your contact list, visit each company's website, extract the content, run it through your AI scoring prompt, and then populate the results back into your spreadsheet. And here's how that looks like in practice. As you can see, this is a lead list consisting of manufacturing companies, and on the left hand side there are columns that are related to the ICP scoring. And in this case, they are already sorted, so the highest scoring companies are at the top. And I also have columns for green flags and red flags, where the AI basically stores the reasoning behind why it gave a company the score that it did. To make this work, you obviously need an AI prompt that can actually accurately assess whether a company is a fit or not. And the way I suggest you do this is you first write a draft of your ICP prompt, then you score a batch of 10 companies. You check if the scores are accurate, so you literally open up all of the websites from the companies and just look at if they would be a fit or not. And if the AI made mistakes, you just adjust the prompt and then you just repeat the process until the AI can tell with 99% certainty whether a company is a fit or not. Okay, now that we have a high quality list of prospects to reach out to, we also need to have something to say to them. And the message should ideally be personalized, but there are two mistakes I see people do that substantially decrease their success rate. Mistake one is they let AI just write way too much of the email. They basically let AI write the full email, and AI just produces texts that sound like a billboard ad, and we don't want that. A simple test to figure out if that's happening is you can just read your email out loud and then ask yourself if that's something that you would say in a real conversation. And if the answer is no, you have to rewrite it. Another bad side effect that this strategy has is that you lose your ability to split test your messaging, because every email will look fundamentally different. So there is no way to test different angles and improve the results you get over time. Mistake two is that they just personalize the wrong things. For example, they reference irrelevant content like a LinkedIn post about how their dog had babies, which is just not relevant at all, and it doesn't connect to any business problem that they are facing, and it doesn't move the conversation forward. It's basically just noise and makes the email longer without making it better. Okay, and here's how to do it properly. We want to use personalization to make the email more relevant, not just personalized. So for example, we could reference a real buying signal. For example, we could say, hey, I saw that you are hiring a sales manager, which is obviously a signal that they want to grow and could use your solution. We can also replace generic claims with specific ones. So for example, if you have a lead generation offer and you're sending a message to a company that targets healthcare providers, instead of saying, hey, we can get you more leads, we could use AI to personalize it and say, we can get you more meetings with healthcare providers. And this just makes the claim way more specific and makes them more likely to actually be interested in what we're saying. Another way to use it is, for example, if you have a general marketing agency or just an automation agency or something like that, where you can help a business in multiple ways, you could use AI to suggest 3 concrete ways that you can help this specific company based on their website content and the pain points that they are likely facing. And by the way, this of course does not only work for online businesses, it basically works for any B2B business, and you can also personalize based on a lot of other things. And the way to implement this is very similar to the ICP scoring, where you have a CSV of leads, then you have a script or automation that visits the website and LinkedIn, and then fills in personalized columns based on the content. And here's how that looks like for the example of the manufacturing companies. In blue, there are columns that are related to the personalization. For example, for the top one, we scraped their LinkedIn, and now we can send a message that says, hey, we saw that you're expanding your sales footprint to 5 locations, which is obviously a signal that they want to grow. And we also say that we could get them OEMs that could use their machining services instead of just saying, hey, we can get you more leads. Okay, now let's talk about lead magnets. But first of all, there are 2 fundamental truths to cold outreach. The first is that trust is low in the beginning because this is just the first time that people have heard of you and they don't have a reason to trust you. And the second is that the offer is everything. It's probably like 85% of the equation. Because of that, there are only 2 ways to make this work exceptionally well. The first one is that you just build an offer that is a very good product market fit, but this is rare. And the second way is you build a lead magnet that builds trust before you ask anything from them, like getting on a call with you. And a lead magnet basically is a micro offer that you give people for free upfront that is valuable to them and that just builds trust, and in turn we just get more people on a meeting with you and then you can close them on your main offer. So what makes a good lead magnet? It should be low effort to access and it should give them fast, tangible results. For instance, you could give them data from your existing customers that they don't have. You could give them proven strategies from past successful clients. You could give them a relevant case study translated specifically to them, or you could give a free sample of your work. And of course, these are just examples that you can start sending immediately, and there are a million other ideas for good lead magnets. To be clear, you don't need AI for that. You can just build all of it by hand. But if you want to use AI, here are a few things how you could do it. You could build static deliverables, for example, a portfolio of your work or just a document where you break down a specific case study, and use softwares like gamma.app to build out the deliverable. And gamma.app is a software that I'm literally on right now, and I built this presentation with the software and I literally one-shot it. It took me like 10 seconds. When you want to build something a bit more sophisticated, what you can do is you can set up a templated deliverable, for example, a Google Doc that describes exactly how your product or service would work for a specific prospect. And then whenever you get a positive reply, you just tell AI to fill in each variable for that specific prospect based on his website content. And when you do this, you can actually mention inside of your cold outreach that you already set up a deliverable for them, and then it just takes you 5 minutes to create it, and it feels huge to them because it just shows initiative and people just like it. Of course, you want to make sure that you don't send any AI garbage, because people will of course judge you based on what you're producing, and if it's bad, they will assume that your main offer that you want to pitch them on later is also bad. And the way you can do this is by just create a feedback loop where AI drafts the deliverable and then you review it to make sure it is actually in line. Then you do one iteration where you will change some things yourself, and then the deliverable is done. And another tip I want to give you is that instead of just sending them the raw deliverable, it makes a lot of sense to just sit down for 5 minutes and record a short Loom video of you walking through the document, for example, and that just proves you're a real human. It builds even more trust, and they are just a bit more familiar with you, and they know who they will be talking to on a meeting. Okay, so to summarize the key takeaways. First, you should filter your list with AI to make sure you actually reach out to relevant contacts. You should not overdo AI personalization, and if you use it, you should use it to make your message more relevant or specific. And you should either build a offer with a really good product market fit, or you should build a really good lead magnet to get more people on a meeting. And if you want me to launch an outreach campaign where we implement all of what we've talked about for your business, including building lists of your ideal prospects, writing out all of the copy, framing your offer for cold traffic, personalizing every message, building the infrastructure to send at scale, and also managing the campaigns, book a call through the link in the description or contact me under my email address that is also in the description. Or if you just want to see more of this, you can just subscribe to the channel.